Hello there and welcome to the Fast Forward Show. Today I am delighted to introduce Dave Davies with us, who has actually been with us before, so it's not his first video appearance. Dave Davies is a certified Sandler trainer and also author of Making Channel Sales Work. Hi there.
Hi, Louisa.
Thanks for coming back to us. We had some great interviews earlier in the year, and I'm excited to see what nuggets of wisdom you've got for us today. So you're the author of Channel Sales Work, or Making Channel Sales Work, I should say. So tell me, what is channel sales?
That's a great question to start with. One that confuses most people. Channel sales in its simplest form is selling through third parties. So you're not necessarily selling direct to the end client, the end user, the end consumer of your product. That there's an organization or an individual in between that is responsible for that sales process.
Can you give us an example of?
Franchises are a good example. Now, I didn't really know that when we started writing the book. I built tech channels where we had value-added resellers, managed service providers who sold my products and wrapped it up in a broader kind of proposition. So they were my channel to market, and I couldn't have got sales with those end user clients without them being there. But others, I
hear about it all the time. I think that channel sales is often considered, that's what IT professionals do. That's what technology providers do. Why do we think that?
I just, well, because it's the noisiest of channels. It's got the biggest voice. There probably is a greater prevalence of organizations that specialize in working with end users, and then the vendors are selling through them. When I started out, we were kind of back in the early 90s, and it's a race to sign up relationships with all of the major vendors so that you could sell a broad proposition to your client base. So I was a channel partner to many organizations, and some of those partnerships phenomenally successful, others somewhat uncomfortable in nature.
So why is channel sales different to sales? Normal sales, if we can call it that.
Yeah, I like that question. Generally because you're one step removed from the end client. So your sales process is through another salesperson, and you're working with them sometimes at quite a distance away from the end user client. So you haven't got the ability perhaps to forge bond and rapport with the client as you might do in a more traditional sales environment. The questions that are being asked by another person. You're not always in the room. That's one of the biggest challenges in channel sales, is the experts are not in the room with the end client. And so you're coaching somebody else's salespeople to sell on your behalf.
It's a bit like a management role in a way.
Yeah, we found that really, I think that was one of the biggest revelations really early on, is how much management competence and capability and development's required for somebody in channel sales. We coined the phrase managing without influence. Managing without power. They're a sales manager managing somebody else's sales force who's recruited them, hired them, onboarded them. But you've got to do all the things that you might do with your own sales team in a condensed period of time with somebody else's, where you don't have the hire fire decision making.
That's really tough, isn't it?
So it is that management piece. You're not really in the supervisory role, but you are the coach, you are trainer, mentor.
So why do people use a channel to sell?
For some, it gives them a global reach, and it allows them to have local cultural understanding. There are certain markets where, candidly in technology, you couldn't sell it if you weren't working with local partners. It just wouldn't work. For others, it's to have a distributed sales force, one that they don't have to hire or don't have to recruit, retain, maintain. And for many, it's much easier to sell with through a partner channel. You're a piece, a spoke in the wheel, if you will. And so actually having partners is important. You're unlikely to be able to sell direct because you're not the full story.
So why doesn't everybody sell via the channel then? Or a channel?
You know, there are a lot of people that do sell through a channel or through third parties and just don't realize it, or just don't use the terminology channel sales. But their sales are made through third parties. Well, they work with a particular client in partnership. An accountant bringing in your bookkeepers, business coaches, perhaps even interim finance. That's a channel play. If you think, but they would never call it that. It would never make sense for them to use that description. You as a recruiter using assessment tools, you could be a channel for a vendor of assessment tools who are unlikely to sell them direct to your client, but would love for you to have that as part of an expansion of your proposition. So then you become a channel partner to them.
Yeah, so this is what I've learned with talking to you and finding out more about channel sales. I always used to associate it with technology, and then your example there of franchises, and then I found myself having clients that would channel in a channel, and I didn't realize it. An agricultural company, for example, selling through a dealer network, or another company selling through a distributor network. So it's really kind of opened my eyes to what can be considered a channel.
There's a lot of it out there, and if you consider our current global circumstances, the travel restrictions placed on us, channel's going to become even more prevalent.
Yes.
Because if you've got any international or even cross-national ambitions for your organization and your products, you're going to need channel partners.